it's technology, so it does what it wants.
Dude, I love it.
So, everybody, welcome to the Logical Shaman podcast. I'm Zach, and today is another episode of Intra-Views, where I do an interview with someone I know, someone I don't know, and try and get to know them. Again, that's why I call it Intra-View instead of interview, because it's not just something between us. It's something I want to get to know what's inside of you. So intra means from within. So, I encourage my guests to be themselves, and let's just have an interesting conversation. So today I'm welcoming Jhon Cadena, who is an old friend and colleague of mine. I've actually worked with him at different positions at work, and he's just an interesting person that was kind enough to come on the podcast when I invited him. So everybody welcome Jhon.
Thank you. I appreciate the cool introduction. It's really cool. I like it.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Pretty relaxed right now. I'm excited for this new thing that you're starting up, and it seems extremely interesting, and it seems fun, and it seems very entertaining, but also I find it fascinating as far as like educational. You put an educational aspect to it, which is
for sure. Yeah,
is pretty cool.
That's the logic side. Is
Yeah.
No, and I just find that value. I want to provide value. I mean, I've listened to a lot of podcasts in my life and taken in a lot of info, and I feel like if it just sits there and you never share it and you never do anything productive with it, it's kind of wasted time. So, I want to put that to good use and hopefully help some people out and just do something different.
I love it.
This might inspire other people to do podcasting or do other things. So. Yeah, I definitely like it.
Sharing ideas.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We got our tea.
Cool.
I think we're all cozy.
Mine's hot,
and
so I'm keeping it here.
Excellent.
So it cools off.
Well, so basically, this isn't like a formal interview, but I always ask my guests like some interests they have, topics that they're knowledgeable about or just want to talk about.
Cool.
So definitely I love your list. First of all, I love everything that you sent me. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's something I like.
Yeah.
So this is going to be fun.
Cool.
The first thing I have here is self-awareness.
Ooh, okay.
What does that mean to you? Why is that something that's actually on top of your list? So
it literally is, and I like that you bring it up first. I mean, where do you start? I mean, self-awareness, in my opinion, is just an amazing tool that you can apply, that you can use on a day-to-day basis to improve your life and improve yourself. And
How does it help you? How do you think? I know it's a big question.
No, it's great. It helps me in ways that in ways that you want to improve. So for me, if I have some sort of habit that really isn't serving me or my life, I essentially, I try to figure out what that is. Right. And in order to figure that out, you need to learn some sort of self-awareness. You need to be self-aware. For me, it comes down to starting with your thoughts, because
100%.
Literally, it starts with our thoughts. And then from there, our thoughts just literally run in circles every single day.
It can be, I talked about this in one of my previous podcasts, but like, if you're not aware of your thoughts and you're not, if you don't realize that you are not your thoughts, that your thoughts are just a part of you and they should be a tool, they can kind of control you. If your thoughts, like you said, are just running around without thought, without your being aware of them, then they can really control how you see yourself and the world and can disempower you,
Yeah, not only that, you can potentially become a victim and a prisoner of your own mind.
100%.
And that is not.
That's the worst kind of prison, really. That's the hardest one to get out of,
So maybe if you want to conceptualize it, maybe you can conceptualize self-awareness as a key, and that key is opening something in your mind potentially, or unlocking your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I viewed it. That's more so leaning towards like a Buddhist philosophy.
I can see that. I think it's funny you bring up religion. When I think of self-awareness, I always think of the Bible story, Genesis, when man is in the Garden of Eden and everything's perfect, and he eats from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I think what that really represents deep down is man's like self-awareness, like becoming self-aware of seeing themselves, seeing that they're naked, and the good and the bad things that come from that. Because, life was a lot easier before we developed self-awareness in a lot of ways. You see the animals just running around. I have dogs and cats here right now. They're just being themselves 100%. They're not self-aware in the way that we are. They're just existing as a dog, as a cat 100%. So there are some, negatives to self-awareness I can see too, of where, you can be thinking too hard about trying to be something instead of just being, a little bit too.
Oh, I love that you brought that up.
Does that make sense?
I've been stuck in that circle at points in my life consistently.
Anything you can share? Anything on that you can think about?
Let's see. I think it was more so desperately trying to get past a depressive phase in my life. And I was so desperate to get out of that. And for some reason, the only way I thought I could get out of it was really just to grow and learn and try to figure something else new. Because the same thought process, the same thoughts that were circling around in my mind were just keeping me stuck. Right?
Sure.
Or some people call it a rut.
Yeah. So you had to find a way to break that pattern.
Exactly. But so when I started doing that, I started gaining a little bit of momentum. And when I started gaining momentum, I got excited.
It's true.
But there is a point where you overdo it. And obviously you don't realize it until it's kind of too late. So that too late process was me just learning a lot, taking out a lot of information, not necessarily applying it to anything, but I was just constantly consuming information, not really doing anything with it.
Right, kind of what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I mean, new ideas are powerful. Like, I feel like I'm always looking for new ideas.
Yeah.
I just you want to see what's that new thing, or how can I combine ways of combining things that are already in your mind in new ways.
Yeah.
So it's good, again, everything in moderation. Like, anything can be used too much. Self-awareness could be a bad thing, if it's too much or it's out of your control. But in general, I definitely think it, like you said, it unlocks a lot of doors and opportunities for growth.
Potentially. I like how you brought up ideas, though. Ideas are amazing, but they're only, in my opinion, I think they're only amazing when they can be applied to the physical world that we live in.
Something useful.
Right? Because we can have a million ideas per day. If we don't do anything with them, nothing's going to happen.
Have you ever heard the term navel gazing?
Nope.
I think it comes from, just staring at your belly all day, but it's the thought where you're just sitting there thinking random thoughts that don't ever do anything. Like, how many angels can you fit on the head of a pin? Like, these ideas that have no point of answering or have no effect on your life.
Yeah, I like that.
For sure, which can be fun. I love, comic books, and I love adventure stories and science fiction. So, I think it's great to explore ideas. But again, anything can be taken too far. I much prefer philosophy that has an effect on your life and actually means something. And it's not just like, well, maybe there's no such thing as good or evil, and it's just nothing. It doesn't affect anything. It's just,
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like the way you perceive ideas, there's like a entertaining aspect of it from you.
Definitely.
The way you look at it, it's very entertaining. Like, it's fun.
Yeah, definitely can be. It can be scary too, but yeah.
Depends.
Although people like that too. People like horror sometimes, and they want to explore the dark side. So I get that too.
Dark side of what?
Of the psyche of of ideas, because ideas aren't all happy. A lot of ideas are not fun, and they're scary.
Yeah.
So
that's trippy.
Yeah. Well, this kind of ties into another thing that you mentioned was psychology. What makes you interested in psychology, and have you done anything in that field?
Well, no, learning, no. I'm not trying to get a degree. I would maybe at some point in the future.
Sure.
If I ever end up getting spare time to actually pursue a degree in psychology, yeah, why not?
It's just something you're interested in.
It's just, I like to dabble with it. I like to learn different things about psychology, because ultimately I can learn something about myself, right? It kind of ties into self-awareness. It's a tool.
Definitely.
So if I learn something about the human brain and how it applies to me, it kind of I can conceptualize as to why I'm doing a certain thing that's maybe not serving me.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Like why why is somebody that had a terrible traumatic experience in water when they were a kid
Right.
so terrified as an adult, knowing full well that they can get in the water, and that's below their knees, but they're still terrified to get in it just because of that. So there's something in the psyche that prevents them to do that. So
Definitely.
that type of memory, that traumatic memory, controls them. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. So that kind of part, like, is so interesting to me. Like,
Yeah.
where
That's
does
somewhere where self-awareness would help you, break out of, or doing some kind of work. I mean, psychological damage is definitely a huge problem. I mean, there's a lot of people that are traumatized from their childhoods and how they were raised. And, I think that ultimately leads to a lot of the bigger things that we see in society with, governments like murdering people and people going crazy and shooting up, schools and whatnot. Like, psychology and, how people are raised and how we treat other people is really everything. Like, how we raise our kids and how we, treat people ultimately leads to the society that we have and how we see the world, Definitely.
It's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. At least for me in my life, I'm more selfish that way. And then maybe if I learn
How are you more selfish? Wait, what do you mean?
I have this thing where I feel very selfish because it could be a limiting belief on my end.
What could be? I'm sorry.
Okay, so this is interesting.
No, this is
try to
good.
Explain.
Okay.
There's how do I explain this? I spend a lot of time learning more about myself.
Okay.
And in these topics that we're talking about currently.
Yeah.
So I consider it a little bit selfish because I put so much time. It's almost like a guilty kind of like.
Have people told you that? Like,
no.
You have a big ego, or you're like obsessed with yourself?
No, that's totally me in my head.
It's all
definitely not.
Did anyone, like, going back to childhood, did your parents or anything say that sort of thing to you? Maybe that put that.
Probably not say. Probably
Nothing specific.
Nothing specific. I think yes. So at some point in my childhood, there was a feeling of not being enough. That belief formed.
Right.
I don't know where it came from, but
I think that's pretty common. Yeah, for sure.
But I'm like determined to figure that out for myself, to see what I can do to change it.
What because I would make the argument that selfishness isn't bad. Like rational selfishness is like how we have the best things. Like, it's how our society has progressed. Like, if you're not, selfish to some degree, you don't invent microphones. You don't invent light bulbs. You don't make it easier to do laundry. You don't invent washing machine. It's humans' desire for themselves.
Yeah.
That leads to helping other people. Selfishness doesn't always lead to like a zero-sum game where I have to hurt you to help myself. Like, selfishness can help me and everyone else if I'm figuring out things that are good for people in general.
Definitely from that perspective, yes. I need to rewire that in my head.
No,
interesting.
Yeah, no shoulds or no needs, but it could be a helpful way to look at it. Or at least a different way.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the next?
I like this tea.
Is it good tea? Mm-hmm. Just regular, like, green tea from Publix. It's not a sponsor of the show, but if they want to be, just let me know in the comments.
You can email me.
Yeah, email me directly. A logical shaman. I don't even know what my email is. I'll have to remember that. All right, so I think it's logical shaman podcast at protonmail.com, but I could be wrong about that. I've only used it once to make the channel and then haven't used it again.
So funny.
So another topic that I am also passionate about that you mentioned.
Let's hear it.
But I want to know where you're coming from.
Okay.
Is crypto or cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So I didn't know if you put it on there just because you wanted to learn more about it, but I'm curious to know where you're coming from.
I haven't
talked about it on the channel yet, so I want to use this as an excuse.
Oh, okay. To me, this is my perspective. It's a complete phenomenon. A movement. It's very random, but it's saying something about current establishments that we have today.
Yeah.
It's saying
I'd say that's why it's not random. It's a direct response to.
It's a response.
What's going on.
And it's super interesting. I love it. I love any type of movements. I love when people can kind of get together and work towards bettering something. I love that aspect of it.
Exactly.
As far as like what I'm hearing from or what I'm reading on different things, it looks like the current establishment already has like plans to do something about cryptocurrency, which I don't know what it is specifically. But there's ideas.
They're always threatening.
They're always threatening.
Saber rattling, as they call it.
Like this really famous billionaire investor, Ray Dalio. Have you heard of him?
I don't think so.
He's really interesting. He's actually a really cool person. He said something along the lines that don't be surprised that eventually the United States will ban Bitcoin at some point.
They might. I've also heard the argument that it's actually going to help them out tremendously.
Yeah, and
in securing the dollar, because if a lot of these smaller countries use the dollar, and so if people are trying to get the dollar to buy Bitcoin and other crypto, it actually helps propagate the dollar and fiat currency to just not most fiat currencies, but the biggest one like the dollar is. It could potentially help them. But I've heard both. I've heard both that the government might come after it. But let me bring up this. Did you hear about Nigeria?
No, I heard about, I think, India banning it.
Nigeria also banned it.
Really?
And it's actually only become more popular since they banned it. And it trades at a premium there. Like Bitcoin is worth more there than it is elsewhere.
So with that being said, that's pretty interesting. So
governments can't really stop crypto. Like they can ban you from selling it, or like say they're going to take your money if you make money on it, or they can try and confiscate it, but it's not confiscatable like gold. And they can't shut off the Bitcoin network without just shutting off the entire internet in their country.
Right.
And governments have become pretty addicted to the internet and technology, just like people have, and they're using it to spy on us and do all this crazy stuff. So they don't really want to shut that off either. So Bitcoin is kind of attached, whether they like it or not, at least for now.
So I guess what I'm hearing is it doesn't really matter if they ban.
I think if anything, it's only good for Bitcoin.
It's going to make it more popular.
Well, and what is going to happen is as Bitcoin becomes more and more established and more banks buy it, which like Goldman Sachs is buying it, PayPal, and then big companies like Tesla and MicroStrategies. It's going to become the government that buys fully into Bitcoin and maybe crypto in general, but I think Bitcoin is the linchpin. It's like the main thing. The first government that goes all in on Bitcoin, they win, because Bitcoin, again, is not going anywhere, and the other governments will kind of have to start buying some if they want to hold their value. So, it's going to become a race to who can get the most Bitcoin for governments, not who can ban it, And the ones that ban it will miss out on the innovation, and people will move to where the Bitcoin is treated best.
Have you heard about Ripple?
I have heard of it. Yeah, it's supposed to be more of a currency, like easy to spend. What do you know?
Well, there's a correlation between Ripple and XRP.
Yes.
And XRP has been having this craziness with the SEC. SEC is suing him.
I have not been following it very closely, but I know they've been threatening.
So far I think Ripple has been winning that case.
I think they've been doing well, and I know XRP has done well. It's gone up quite a lot since it was initially had the problem.
Okay, what I've heard that was pretty interesting, I don't know if this is fact or not, but Ripple has some ties or connection with the actual federal government.
It might, yeah.
Which is pretty interesting in that aspect.
Well, governments will, like China just did, was make their own digital yuan, and everyone will make the digital dollar, and they'll kind of say it's a crypto, but it's not really a crypto. It's just like Fed coin. It's just controlled by them, So, and I think that'll be fine. And that, again, will just help people get more into Bitcoin. It'll be easier to buy Bitcoin when you already have a digital dollar. And you're like, well, it's already digital anyway. Why not just buy the one that's not going down in value constantly, like, the actual fiat dollar?
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm already used to it. I constantly use just my card. I never take out cash.
Most people don't have cash already.
All my money's in my bank account, just sitting there.
It's just ones and zeros in the bank anyway. It's already digital.
So it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. No, I had one other point, but I totally forgot what it was.
Oh, my
now.
bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm liking the conversation so far.
All right,
sure,
cool,
man.
cool.
Did you have anything else on crypto you wanted to mention before we move on?
On crypto specifically, how are we on time?
Oh, we're doing fine.
Cool.
There's no time limit. This is they can't shut us down yet. So
All right, cut this out. Cut this part out. No, I'm playing. Nothing that comes up to mind, not yet. We could come back to it if.
well, this kind of ties into the next topic too, the current financial establishment. What are your thoughts on the?
Well, as far as I'm aware, based on what I think I learned, right? Nothing. I'm really speaking off of like interesting things that really resonate with me regarding how money works, how this economy works.
That's a big question.
It is.
I feel like most people on the street would, if you just say, well, hey, what is money? They wouldn't be able to give you a very good answer.
Dude, money is literally is just a piece of paper, but we agree that this is money. Like if the Fed prints up fucking pens.
Well, especially current. That's what the dollar is. I would say
it's not backed up by anything.
Hard money, like Bitcoin, I think is actually much more valuable by nature because, like you said, it's just a dollar. And do we have the power to print more dollars? Can we control where that comes from, or the interest rates, or all these things? Like, we have no control over that at all. Bitcoin is an established protocol that's never going to change. There's only ever going to be 21 million. You can't print more Bitcoin when you want to go to war, or when you want to, buy out. Save the banks when the banks are collapsing, and then It just doesn't work the same,
Well, that's like the beautiful part. I think that's where the keyword centralized comes into play. That's Bitcoin is not centralized.
Right.
The dollar that we use every day is centralized by who?
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve.
As Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
yeah.
Have you heard that before?
That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's literally what it is. That's the other cool thing about Bitcoin, just to tie it back in, but that it can become the world's reserve currency, whether countries want it to or not, because it just is stable. It's like mathematics. It's like physics. It just works. And then people will just start comparing what is the dollar worth to Bitcoin today, not to be like, oh, Bitcoin went up this amount, but to see how are other fiat currencies doing in relation, and the dollar went down today, and this, it'll make them either their dollars will become more and more worthless faster because of Bitcoin, or the Fed will have to have sound money and actually make it backed by something in order to compete with Bitcoin. So they'll have to make fiat better. Yeah. So I think it could start a competition for better money.
I think so. I think that would be pretty cool. I think Bitcoin is the new age type of gold, the new type of asset. Even though it was originally created as a currency, it's just it stores value. Yeah. Right? You just store it there. It holds its value. It's increasing. So do you think maybe Bitcoin would be the standard, and fiat currencies that's not backed up by anything would be compared against that? Right?
Yeah, 100%. I think in 100 years, if assuming Bitcoin hasn't been hacked by then, or see, that's the other thing is Bitcoin can grow and change too. It's not static. Bitcoin gets updates, and if quantum computing comes out and can hack Bitcoin, they could just make quantum Bitcoin and have the quantum upgrade so it can resist it.
You lost me. You lost me there.
Yeah. But no, I think the Bitcoin standard is something that can happen again, whether governments want it or not, because again, they can't stop it. So, and you can always compare your current local currency to Bitcoin globally. So it can become a global standard.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Kind of from the ground up. And that's a book actually called The Bitcoin Standard. I don't know if you said that on purpose. It's a podcast.
I didn't. I had no idea.
I forget the author, but if you Google Bitcoin Standard, it's a great book and a good podcast actually too.
There you go. That's the next one.
Well, what about, so let's see, what do you have here? Oh, I like this topic too. Maybe you could teach me something here. So creating wealth through assets.
Oh, wow.
What does that mean? This all kind of flows too. This was just your
creating wealth through assets. Well,
is that something you're currently doing, or?
I think it's important to have it, especially because of this volatile type of market we live in. It's like essential. Like we were just talking, like Bitcoin is an asset, right?
100%.
Anything that you can dump your money into, right? So let's start out with the basics. If you have cash sitting in your bank account that's not doing anything,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
What's the point? Maybe earning 0.0001% interest.
Bro,
Is that helping?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. Why do you think that is? So there's a big word called inflation.
Yep, and that goes
Right?
back to central banks and
Which concerns me now because they're just handing out paychecks to every $1 trillion stimulus checks.
and like
it's
0% interest loans for
like it's candy, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, okay. So immediately a light bulb went up in my head. I'm like, okay, so I have this cash now. Where can I put this cash?
Right.
So where it can grow, right? So it comes from an idea of literally making your money make more money for you. So that's essentially, if you can figure out how to create asset or find an asset that you can, put the incoming cash, the income that you currently have, and control it in such a way that you can create potential passive income in the future, and you can create a business as an asset. If you create it properly, that's an asset.
Yep.
Another popular one that everybody's into is real estate.
I was going to say housing, definitely.
I love real estate. That's so awesome.
Okay.
What else? Bitcoin, anything like that. So I guess the idea is like if you have a lot of cash in your bank account, don't think that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily.
Well, it's just losing value constantly.
Right. So
and faster now as they print more and more money.
So take that money, put it into something that can increase in value over time. That way, as time goes on, as you get older, you're increasing your net worth, and that way you don't have to, work at Walmart when you're fucking 60 years old.
Well, and that's a big mindset change because most Americans, as I understand it, don't even have a savings. Like they maybe have 500 or 1,000 in the bank, and they're living, paycheck to paycheck. So this is a big mindset change for a lot of people.
It's incredible, and it's difficult, and I think it's even more difficult now because the U.S. in general is a huge consumer society. Like, that's literally
spend, buy things you want, and
right.
Don't save and don't plan for the future. That's really the message.
It's literally the economy. That's part of the reason why the U.S. is number one right now, because of these big corporations that I look at as monopolies. Amazon. No, I'm just
right.
playing.
No, a lot of them are.
And they're so good. They're great companies, but we just get hooked on using it because it's so, especially now with this whole pandemic thing.
Yeah.
They're so convenient.
Really helped them out
us.
a lot, didn't it? Yeah.
It did. It makes our lives a lot easier, but if we don't understand, it just boils down to, are you a consumer or a producer? I think, in my opinion, in America, it would be wise to either lean more towards being a producer, so that way you have more money coming towards you, right?
Yeah.
Versus actually more money going out, that you're just a consumer. You go to the movies, you go out to party every night or every weekend. You do lots of things. You take a lot of trips. Take your Instagram photos on your boats.
Yeah, distractions.
Yeah, all kinds of things. Know. So it's just getting your priorities straight. And I think, sadly, you got to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, a lot of people do, or they never learn. But when you hit rock bottom, sometimes it snaps you into self-awareness, and you realize you got to make some changes or die, or some other extreme.
And since we're coming out of the industrial age, from factory workers, right? Our parents are probably like factory workers, or industrial workers. That was the school system was set up to where you can actually get degrees so you can get good jobs at these factories, get your pensions, and retire.
The schools themselves were factories, producing workers.
Producing workers, right? So that whole thing is a mess now. Like it's non-existent. So essentially, the schools were creating the middle class. I would say. Yeah. And now in today, 2021, I really don't.
It's not cutting it. It's not even middle class anymore. If you just do what you learn in school.
Honestly, I don't think the middle class doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. I think either you're building wealth and you have some type of assets going for you, or you don't. Right. And if you don't, guess what? You're either poor or you're rich. Yeah. I don't think there's no in between anymore. And that's the scary part. You know what I mean? I think that's where all the tension buildup is. But as far as like wages, homelessness, inequality, that's where that word comes in. Right. It all kind of like ties in together somehow, and it's concerning. But if you're aware of it and you can do something about it, you can learn to plan ahead.
Right.
And still enjoy your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, like you said, it could be overwhelming, but I think it's important to realize it's really nothing new. I mean, this is really ever since humans came out of the trees and developed some kind of society and ways to interact with each other. This kind of stuff has been, you know, going on, and you know, what's the again? I think it's George Carlin again that said, you know, imagine the average intelligent person, and then realize most people are not as intelligent as that. So it's like, you know, there's always going to be people getting left behind, but I do think in a lot of ways, you know, society has and capitalism really has brought people's level of living standards up so high. Mm-hmm. So even people that are kind of getting left behind are also still enjoying a lot of the fruits of that, like wealth.
Like that. Yeah,
you know, so they pretty much everyone has a phone or a TV now and has a fridge to store food, so they're not, you know, food's not rotting and going bad all the time. Like we have all these modern conveniences that allow us to live really easy lives, even if we're in the poor, you know, area of finances.
That's cool that you say that, because then that makes me think that's just whatever your standard of living is.
Mm.
You know, if you're totally okay with what you have, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Then as long as you're happy, you're healthy, you know, you got what you need, and you're enjoying life, why not?
I like the Bitcoin standard of living.
I think everybody does.
And I mean, just kind of going back to that, you know, like savings, you know, like it starts there. Like if you're not thinking about saving in the future, at least a little bit, you know, and setting people, that's the thing is people starting small can be discouraging, but if you're consistent with a small amount of investment, even if it's just into a savings account at first, it will grow faster than you realize, and it will help take some of that pressure off of life when you have something saved up and you have a few investments that are growing in wealth, you know, while you're slaving away at your day job, you know. So you got to start somewhere. You know, I just encourage everyone to start with at least a small savings and put a little bit aside, you know, every paycheck consistently, you know.
Yeah, depending on your lifestyle, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And also, I always like to add, when I say save, I don't stop there, because, again, what I said originally, you know, if you have a lot of money just sitting in your bank account, they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So it's saving to do what? So there's always a next step after saving.
True.
And then that's where you could take a large chunk of that big old savings account that you have and then put it into something that's going to make you more money over a long period of time.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so next topic.
Cool.
What are your thoughts on plastic pollution?
Oh, wow.
I think you mentioned something about a business or a job you were doing.
Yeah, well, it's
related.
Right. Honestly, it's more so like a hobby that I'm trying out. It could potentially turn into a business. So I was looking into the recycling numbers nationally in the U.S., and they're pretty horrible. I think the industry standard of recycling, out of the millions of tons of plastic that we use every year, only about 8% of that gets recycled.
As I feel like recently I learned that a lot of the plastic that you recycle isn't even really recycled. Like they can't break it down properly, or it doesn't really get reused like you think it does.
Yeah, and it's complicated because there's different types of plastic.
Yep.
And you need different types of equipment to recycle that specific type of plastic.
Right.
So it gets more complex as you learn about it. But essentially what I was trying to figure out a way to maybe at least do something about it. Mm-hmm. And I found out that, you know, rightfully so, a lot of our cities have a huge responsibility of taking care of our waste, right? Waste management.
Right.
Like here in Jacksonville and other cities. So what they generally use, as far as I'm aware, is something called single stream recycling. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that they collect everything and put it all together. All the trash, food, plastic, all types of waste that we just throw out in trash bins.
They don't separate it.
They put it all together because they have to be efficient, right? This is a lot of trash we're talking about. So what they do is they put in conveyor belts. They put in conveyor belts, and they have workers, you know, as it moves along the conveyor belts, they start separating them.
Yeah.
And they use machines too. There's technology that's doing that too as well.
True.
The main concern about this is that when you mix the trash, the regular trash with the plastics, it lowers the quality of the plastic.
Right.
So as it's moving around from place to place, conveyor belt to conveyor belt, it lowers the quality of the plastic. And what happens is when it gets to a certain point, the individuals that get that plastic to recycle them, they can't do anything with it.
Gotcha.
They can't accept it. So when they don't accept it, what do you think happens after that?
They just throw it away.
They throw it in the landfill.
Yeah.
They sell it to other countries, and for some reason, it ends up in the fucking water.
Yeah.
So the part where it gets from, I'm trying to intercept the part where it gets from the home to the single stream recycling waste management.
Before it hits that conveyor belt.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So I tested this out already. I started out with surveys with different people, what they know about plastic and the ratings and everything like that. And right now, so far, I got about 10 clients every month, setting aside their 2 specific types of plastic because I partnered up with somebody here in Jacksonville that can process those 2 types of plastic. It's HDPE, number 5, and number 2 plastic. Like if
this is the type of plastic, HD.
Yeah.
Say that again.
HDPE. Don't ask me the technical.
Okay. What it stands for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Google
Google
okay.
it. Google it, guys. No. HDPE and PP plastics.
Okay.
So basically, any plastic that you have.
Are you doing this for like a retail level, like, or for
Not
businesses, or like is it just people like
No,
for their personal trash, or is it for like their business trash, or what do you?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna try to do both, but right now it's just random people I knock on their doors and just
cool.
pitch them on the idea.
Excellent. Well, I know you have experience there. That we used to do door to door together. So yeah, I know that game.
So yeah, and it's actually it's pretty awesome response. A lot of people
are
down. Supportive. Yeah.
Hey, sign me up. Okay. I'm not even kidding. Like I'll try it.
We'll talk about it.
I used to separate my plastics anyway, and now I live in an apartment, so there's really nothing to do with my separated trash. So.
It's great. I get a lot of great reception, a lot of good conversations. Most people are supportive. They just don't know what to do, and they're very unaware.
How would you want people in my audience to maybe contact you? Do you have an email or something about this where they could message you?
Yeah, you can email me at Santiago, Santiago, J996 @gmail.com. And then maybe you can put it under there.
I'll put it in the description of the video. Give you that link. Well, excellent.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So what are they able to do with it now that you're intercepting it?
So they collect it, they put it aside, and at the end of the month I collect it. And I transport it to the local plant that, partnered up with me that accepted to do this. And he's just processing the plastic. He's able to actually recycle the HDP and PP.
Does he pay you for that, or is he doing it for free, or how does that work?
So generally speaking, he just collects from big industries that have like those big. He collects by the truckloads, and he actually buys it off of companies and then resells it to.
So for him, it's easy to throw your pile in.
Yeah,
as he's recycling.
And I told him I'll do it for free. I don't, I'll just give you more business.
That's awesome.
And I'll just be. So it was not. I'm not thinking about this as like a more profit. I make a good living already, so I'm not worried about profiting off of this. It's just more so.
Well, that's good.
Doing something about the issue.
I think if you did profit off of it, it wouldn't be bad either, because you're filling a need, that people have, and you're helping people out, and the environment. You're helping the world. So
that's the idea.
That's good, man.
It feels good to do that. And hopefully, I think as time goes on, it's going to get more attention, and more people are going to.
Yeah. Well, as you grow, you'll probably find new ways to do it, and ways to make it more efficient. And that's a great start. I mean, everything's got to start small, like the podcast here. You gotta start somewhere. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
And it's fun. I have fun doing it. I like talking to people and letting them know. And
do you have like a name for your?
Oh, it's Recycling Pros.
Recycling Pro. I like it.
Yeah,
it's simple, easy to remember.
That's it.
Recycling Pros. Is there a website like Recycling Pros?
Not yet. I'm in the process of making a Facebook page.
Okay.
I was thinking about actually creating a community of all my clients.
Oh, nice.
So everybody can, basically look at the page, see who's actually supporting this type of movement. I like to call it a movement.
And if they have questions and stuff, they can help each other out.
And I can post things like videos of how our plastics, and just educating them. You know what I mean?
It's a great idea.
So they're more aware. And as the community grows, more and more people start learning more about it.
I love it. Well, and it's it's something people could take up locally, and to where, especially since you're not concerned about profit, you don't have to expand your business. You just have to spread the idea, and then people can start doing this locally. Find the plants near them that can take the plastic, and it would be an individual.
Yeah, I would love to have competition. I want people to copy my idea and do it.
Yeah,
that's
what you could start is, you already said it, but using the forum and website, that can spread the idea.
Yeah.
To where people can be copying you and doing what you're doing in other places.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting to look at that, because normally, if you're trying to build something, you're like, no, this is my secret. I'm trying to,
Right.
Now I'm like, here, you do it.
You want to give out the secret sauce. Yeah, you're giving it for free.
Yeah, do it. I love
that's
that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Maybe they can give him donations in Bitcoin, though.
That'd be awesome.
Well, we kind of talked about this a little bit already, but maybe we can kind of wrap up and retouch on this. But you separated them out, so I'm going to separate them out. Ooh, careful. So it's self-development and mindset.
Yeah, that ties in.
Can tie to self-awareness, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, to me, mindset ties in with self-awareness. Self-awareness is a factor in mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Self-development is just you growing as an individual to learn new skills, to get outside your comfort zone, learn new skills in order to do the things that you want to do in this life, right?
Yeah.
So if you have this crazy dream that you want to do it, you got to realize that you can't do it. Part of the mindset is like, I can do it. Mm-hmm. I just need to learn the skills to be able to achieve this and create this in my life.
Yeah.
But you have to, part of the mindset is like starting with the fundamental belief that you can learn.
Yeah.
It's not if you can learn, is, how long is it going to take me to learn? And if it takes 5-10 years, if it's really your dream and you really want it, it's going to be worth it.
And that first step is always the hardest. Like we were saying about starting this idea, or with savings or whatever it is, like you got to break through that first step, and it's okay to start small. You're just one person. You don't have to take the step and all of a sudden be Justin Bieber. It takes time and effort and a little bit of luck to break through certain things, but it's really important to not, like you said, let your mindset prevent you from trying, from doing it, from making progress.
Yeah, and just realize that you're gonna make a shitload of mistakes, and that's just part of it.
Yeah, it's unexpected.
Yeah.
You have to make mistakes in order to not make mistakes anymore.
Yeah.
100%. Well, that's been a good talk, I think.
Yeah, it has. No plan.
Anything else you want to share? Any websites or your social media, or just any thoughts that you have before we wrap up today? I really enjoyed talking with you.
Cool, I
Thanks
appreciate that. Yeah,
on.
It's been awesome. No, I enjoyed it a lot. I hope to come back at some point and we could talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, we could have delved deeper on some of these topics for sure. So you're welcome back anytime, man.
Awesome.
I love it.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the Logical Shaman podcast. Everyone have a great day and week and life. Bye.
Have a good life.